All right, now I'm just going to play a short clip here. And as part of this clip, there's a perfect example of someone using this tactic of unthinging that I mentioned in that clip from Frame Games there on Telegram a little bit earlier today. So let's just have a listen to what this guy Zanzi says here. He's talking to Paul Moran. The two of them are, they're just socialist Republican types on YouTube. And this it's an interesting enough stream. To be fair, they do make some valid points along the way, but this idea of unthinging is illustrated very well by something this Zanzi guy says in a few moments' time. So let's just play the clip here.
And to me, that was colonist nationalism. It doesn't matter if you quote unquote belong here. It's you're here and you care about the person next to you. So let's build something for all of us. And the unique conditions within the Irish experience was he was willing to include a settler colonial population, as long as they identified class relations and not religious sectarianism. Somebody who was like a third generation Protestant living in Belfast, he was like, I'm fine with you living in Ireland. Just have an Ireland for all of the people on this island and not along sectarian unionist lines. It's not finding that idea that like there's no Irish gene.
Hear that? There's no Irish gene. So what he's saying there is there's no such thing as Irish. There's no such thing as native Irish, as indigenous Irish. All right? That's unthinking. That's exactly what he's doing there. He's delegitimizing us as Irish people. And this is something, I'm not sure if he's doing this consciously or unconsciously, but the end result is the same. It's a way of creating that false binary that I mentioned previously, that if you have any concept, any sense of yourself as an indigenous Irish person, and if you have any sense of protecting that from being undermined, then this makes you a bad person in his eyes. And it's not just him, but to be honest, it's a lot of people in the media, it's certain people in politics, people in popular culture and so on. But this is their way of delegitimizing what it is to be a native Irish person. Unthinging. There's no such thing as native Irish, there's no Irish gene, So this is how it works.
What makes you Irish is the acceptance of the people around you. And for that exact same reason, you can almost get disowned from your nation. I mean, for God's sake, this is a huge part of what racism is. You see it all the time in the UK, where how many people have their Britishness conveniently ripped from them, even though their families have been here 17 generations. I don't think.
And there's the straw man there as well, where he's trying to give the impression that people like us who care about indigenous Irish identity, that we somehow don't care about people around us of different cultures, of different ethnic or racial backgrounds or different religions or whatever. Of course we do. It's never been about that. So that what he's doing there is he's projecting perhaps his own prejudices, who knows, onto people like us in order to advance his own worldview.
There's a material root to nationality. I think it's an idealist conception, but we have to wrestle with it because it has very real implications. The material root of what forms that nationality is that class antagonism in how it fundamentally builds a relationship of production, because mercantile capitalism is it's very easy to trade if you have a national flag.
Okay, I think we've seen enough there. Another point he makes in and around this part of the video is he makes this point of to be Irish is almost to be oppressed, that this is our identity in a sense, that we are all oppressed people. And there's a lack of any love for what it is to be Irish. And there's a lack of associating that with Ireland itself, There's a lack of appreciation of the fact that, our religion, our literature, our myths and folklores, a lot of that was tied to the land. It was tied to the countryside. It was tied to the unique demography of Ireland. At one point during this video, he calls Ireland just a rock, or just a rock in the ocean, And you can see that he has this almost deracinated idea of what it is to be Irish. That it's not really connected to Ireland as a geographical entity. And I think that's sad, because that to me is part of what makes us Irish. It is not just the fact that we are, our ancestral roots are from Ireland itself, but also the fact its place as well. It's where we were born, where we were brought up, where we have our roots. And it is that intrinsic link to the island as well, to the island of Ireland itself, not just through our ancestry, that makes us Irish. And this is something that seems to bypass his thinking. I think that's kind of sad.